It goes without saying that a harsh, bitter struggle lies ahead of this nation. We find ourselves faced with a war, the like of which Erebonia has never seen. But we will prove triumphant. We will bring to bear the finest strategies and the full might of the Imperial Army.
Hello, and welcome to another HackerNoon podcast. That clip was a sneak peek into Trails of Cold Steel 4, developed by Nihon Falcom and published by NIS America. Today, we are joined by Erin Kim from NIS America, who is here to catch us up on NIS America's upcoming releases and talk about how COVID has changed the gaming industry. How's it going, Erin? Thanks very much for being here today.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
So, NIS America is one of my favorite companies because I'm a geek that likes Japanese games. But a lot of people listening to this might not know who you are. Could you briefly introduce NIS and NIS America and the difference between them?
Yeah, so just to give a brief overview of myself, I'm Erin. I am a senior public relations coordinator here at NIS America, and NISA, as we're called in short, was established in 2003 in Southern California, and our mission is to, bring over exciting Japanese video games over to Western audiences. And our, parent company, so to speak, is NIS, Nippon Ichi Software, and they're a video game company that is probably most well known for the strategy RPG game Disgaea.
Yeah.
Just a brief introduction of that.
Cool. So the main difference then between NIS and NIS America is that NIS is the Japanese company that actually develops the games, and NIS America's main job obviously is to port and translate those games to English audiences. Is that correct?
Yeah, you could put it as that. NIS is, they develop their own original IPs, and we do publish some of them and localize them, bring them over to North America and Europe. But we also, as NISA, we publish other titles. For example, we've partnered with Nihon Falcom, who's well known for their JRPGs. We've published those in the West, along with myriad of other exciting titles.
Yes, for sure. It's one of my favorite games, so I'm happy about that.
Lots of hype for that.
Yeah, so Erin, obviously COVID has changed many industries around the world. Personally, as a writer for a marketing team in Tokyo, our company has been 100% fully remote since February of 2020, so over 6 months now. And
it's really crazy how time flies.
Yeah. And I think for sure this is obviously the case of the gaming industry. We've seen a lot of delays. One of the most notable one was Last of Us Part 2, and I'm pretty sure Sony and Naughty Dog confirmed that it was due to COVID. They were having trouble getting permissions to ship these games around the world, so they had to postpone. So we are seeing problems arise in the gaming industry. Could you talk about how things have changed at NIS America due to COVID? What were the changes in your work style and kind of the problems that you've seen arise?
Right. For us too, not to speak on it so long, but we've had similar problems with, manufacturing or like shipping times, just because those industries themselves are impacted. So it's a bit of a, like a trickle effect of sorts. But the biggest change for me within the general game industry and what I do in my role has been, the absence of physical events and conventions. One that, I'm sure many people can relate to. And so now that those opportunities are no longer present for us at the moment, the industry has shifted to a lot of digital showcases. So, many companies have already been hosting their own even before the impact of COVID. But I see now
Yeah.
more and more developers and publishers and like even event organizations have been like looking towards these digital events to highlight new announcements and updates through like online presentations and live streams and
Yeah.
whatnot. And one challenge for us has been that, obviously there's no longer a space to have our games physically available to demo for both
Yeah.
media and the general public. So the obstacle was to figure out how to deliver that experience online.
Yeah.
But that could be overcome with a bit of flexing some creativity. One example was that this past summer, actually, we partnered with several other publishers and developers for the first ever New Game Plus Expo, or NGPX for short. And this was to bring, exciting news directly to fans through a video showcase and a live stream filled with like first looks and QA with devs and more. So it's kind of like you're
Cool.
getting that panel experience with a creative team and then getting to see gameplay of games and whatnot. Yeah.
You created your own kind of online gaming conference?
Yeah, you can say that. We partnered with others and kind of built this opportunity for ourselves.
Cool. When is that
Mhm.
conference, and do you plan on making it annual?
Yeah, so it actually just passed in June. That was our first ever one, and we're happy to say it was a success. So, hooray!
Cool.
For future ones, it's definitely not off the table. So, any news on those will obviously be coming via
Yeah.
official channels,
Cool.
when it happens.
So I have a few follow-up questions there. You said
Mhm.
obviously, like everyone else, your shipping times were affected because of those industries. Do you know specifically what problems they're having? Like, is there just stricter requirements with customs to ship things across the world these days, and that's why it's taking longer?
Mm. I'm afraid I'm not too knowledgeable,
Okay.
like, of those details, but if I were to kind of guess, I would think maybe the manpower is a bit down
Ah,
since
yeah.
they're limiting with like social distancing. There's a limited capacity of people that can be like in that space.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
for
I'm
sure.
assuming that's kind of slowing down the workflow.
Definitely. And the second thing you
Mhm.
said there was a lot of your job is around in-person marketing and going to events. Is that like the bulk of how NIS America promotes their content? And do you think that's representative of lots of game companies? A lot of the marketing is done in person and in events?
Mm,
Or is it like half and half, like 50% online,
yeah,
50% in person?
I do want to say recently there's been a greater emphasis on digital marketing, even without COVID having happened. But I don't want to discount either the in-person like presence and
Yeah.
the effects that can bring. Um, but that is a good question. I would
Yeah.
say having that like interpersonal communication with fans and journalists is really important. So having to miss out on that due to COVID was a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, I definitely agree because obviously, Aaron, we met at Tokyo Game Show, which is one of the biggest game events in the world. And
Hmm.
I look forward to that every year as a game writer,
Yeah.
journalist, whatever you want to call it. And I think
Hmm.
that is quite important. Like once Tokyo Game Show announced that they're going 100% virtual, to be honest, I completely lost interest because one of the main reasons to go to these events is to see these games in person, watch the gameplay, or actually try them in person. So I think
Right.
one of the issues that the gaming industry has to deal with is how to, like you said, how to create that experience virtually online. So hopefully
Hmm.
we can find a way.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, yeah. So is your office now completely 100% remote, or what's the style now at NIS America?
Yeah, we're all remote now. We've been working from home since March, I believe. And while it was a bit difficult at first to adjust to this new working style, I think we've, adjusted to it fairly well by now since it's been, wow, almost like half a year
Exactly.
since that. Yeah. You know what, with working from home, communication via Slack or email or messaging, what have you, is like really more important now than ever, since you can't just like get up from your desk and walk over to your coworker and ask something. But besides that, and I don't want to seem like so nonchalant about it or whatever, but I do feel like our way of operation has not been too affected otherwise when it comes to like in-office communication.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I think I've seen maybe 60-40 or 50-50 split on people who like the new way of being 100% remote, and 50%
Mm,
people who really hate it. What is
yeah.
your what as somebody in the gaming industry, what is your personal experience been of that? Have you felt like it's been a better lifestyle, or are you the type of person that completely hates this?
While there are the pros and cons of working from home, I do prefer working in an office setting just because I feel like I can focus more and productivity is increased when surrounded with teammates. So
Interesting.
it's hard to put a ratio on it, but
Yeah.
I do definitely prefer more working in the office.
For sure. How has your team adapted? How have you adapted as a team to this new work style? Have you all taken on a bunch of different productivity tools? Did you change the way you do meetings? What are the big changes you all had to make?
hmm we've already been working off of productivity tools beforehand, but I will say that it's been a bit harder to just kind of bounce ideas off of each other as the close proximity is lost.
Yeah.
But we do make up for that with, planned meetings to really brainstorm about things and put our heads together.
Cool. Speaking of brainstorms and what you've been working on recently, do you have anything new coming out from NIS and NIS America?
Ooh, yeah, for NIS America, we have 3 games coming out next month in October. So it's going to be a pretty busy, spooky season. But
Yeah.
for October titles, we have first off Prinny 1 2 Exploded and Reloaded. That is from our parent company, NISJ. It's a platformer game. And then next up, we have Trails of Cold Steel 4, which is really highly anticipated. It's a culmination of an epic JRPG saga coming from Falcom. And then last but not least, we have Mad Rat Dead, which is a rhythm platformer also coming from NISJ.
Cool. For people that don't know, Trails of Cold Steel, I'll say, is the best JRPG ever. That's just my personal opinion. Talking about Mad Rat Dead, I've seen a bit of it, and it looks quite different from everything that NAS has ever published.
Right?
Um,
Uh-huh.
what
Uh-huh.
is Mad Rat Dead about? Can you tell us a little bit about the gameplay?
Yeah, so in Mad Rat Dead, you play as the titular character, Mad Rat, and he's been granted a chance to relive his last day on Earth and to fulfill a desire by the rat god. So your wish is to exact revenge on the mad scientist that experimented on you. And so this game has the same director as another NIS title called Yomawari.
Mm,
And so you can see kind of the combination of cute, fun art style with a bit of grotesque horror-like elements.
yes.
And yeah, this game is a rhythm platformer. And the music, I do have to say, it's really good. It's really catchy. And we did put out an audio-visual trailer for a sneak peek at the soundtrack on our YouTube channel. So,
Cool.
after this podcast episode, I highly recommend for listeners to go and check it out.
Yeah. And actually, for our YouTube watchers, let's actually play that right now.
So as you can see, you're in a bit of a laboratory setting at the moment, but there are different, I guess, environments or stages that you go through. And if you can see at the bottom of the screen, there's a pulsing heart along with the beats to the music. So in order to progress through the stage, you got to match your actions to the beat and advance forward. So you have 4 main actions you can take. I believe they are jump, dash, charge, and slam. So, you know, just make your way through, getting a good feel for the rhythm. And like as happening now, if you happen to mess up or hit an enemy, you can rewind back to a certain point in the stage and try it again. So, do your best to rack up the highest combo and, get a really good score.
Cool. This is actually really cool. Platformers are there are so many platformers out there that, to be honest, I had completely just not been interested with the genre in a really long time, but that seemed really cool. Like, I'd probably actually get into that. I've never seen a rhythm platform like that before.
Yeah, I do have to say the music is a really good catch because, once I kind of speak about the game, people are like, oh, I'm a bit curious to learn more. But once they hear that soundtrack going, they're like, oh yeah, I really want to play this game now.
Right? Yeah, very cool. So other than Mad Rat Dead, what was the other main title you had coming out soon?
Well, coming out soon, we have Trails of Cold Steel 4. That is coming to PS4 on October 27th. Although I didn't have a trailer lined up for that one, but I'd be happy to talk about East 9 as well, but that'll be coming out next year.
We finally made it to Balduke, the prison city.
Forgive me for what I am about to do, but this city needs you. Come forth, my Monstrums, and consume this dark night!
Witness the strength of the Crimson King! Leave it to me! Mow him down!
Here goes! Whitecap, reporting in. We can scale that wall using my gift. Yeah! Take this! Huh? What's the matter? Doll here. Good day. Use my gift to reveal clues. Eviscerate! Raging Bull is also peculiar. Raging Bull, I'm raring to go. I'll smash through everything that gets in our way! Shatter to base! Who's next?
Alright, let's get this party started!
It'll be a walk in the park for my hunter's descent.
Too slow! Out of my way!
Things just keep getting weirder and weirder.
Renegade, let's get on with it already. Use my shadow dive to get to the other side of it. My time has come.
There is no going back now, I'm afraid. The wheels of fate are already turning. As the sentinel between the dark and light, I, Aprilis, herald the fall of this dusk. Unsheathe your curse and smite the darkness.
East 9, Monstrum Nox.
So East 9, Monstrum Nox, it's the latest installment to the well-loved East series. So you'll see the return of, fast-paced dynamic combat with flashy moves. But this time around, we have, a whole cast of interesting characters that we've just seen in the trailer, and they're called the Monstrum. So each individual has, unique abilities or gifts, as we call them, that you can use outside of battle as well as inside. So to speak a bit more about Adol, so our protagonist, he's turned into a Monstrum, and he's called the Crimson King. And his ability is called Crimson Lines, so it's kind of like a, how would I say, kind of like a grappling hook or zip line, kind of similar to Spider-Man. You can like zip from point to point. And the ability to kind of traverse not only horizontally, but also vertically as well, if that makes sense, like climbing up walls or flying over the city. It does add a new perspective to world exploration that hasn't been seen in other East titles. So that's really exciting.
Before, Erin, you talked about how you've kind of had to adapt because you're not allowed to go to these in-person gaming events anymore. So for these titles, how have you guys been adapting to the new way of promoting them? What are the specific tactics you've been using to promote these more, since you can't really do that in person anymore?
Right. So now with the greater emphasis on kind of doing everything online, um, we've really taken to be more kind of communicative with the fan base.
Yeah.
Since we can't talk to them in person at these events. So we do have our own Discord server actually, which people can join. So, in there we really promote our titles and be like, hey guys, this is, what's new, what's coming up, please check it out. And we get really great feedback from our users. And we do lots of like social, how would I say? Like social activities like giveaways or
Nice.
like retweeting contests on Twitter. And we also do stream from time to time our games. We had to go on a bit of a decreased streaming schedule since we're not really allowed to be back in the office as well. And, we even have demos coming out so people can try them out. Like for Mad Rat Dead, there'll be a demo for that one.
I see. And for the expo you all did online in partnership with a bunch of other development companies, what program or software did you use to host that? What's like the one that you found the most useful?
So it was hosted on Twitch, which was really cool.
Perfect. That is cool.
Yeah, so we hosted on, or I guess showcased on the Twitch gaming channel, which was super awesome and, got to reach a really wide audience. And then afterwards, our showcase was posted on YouTube for those who weren't able to, catch it when it was live.
Nice. Well, we'll have links to your Discord and to that YouTube video in the description and show notes below. Do you think that since we don't have the ability to give fans the chance to test these games in person, does NIS and do you think other companies plan to release more demos in the future that people could just download for free on PS4 or Nintendo Switch, whatever platform they use?
I think that would be a good direction to take, although this is just from my kind of thinking, but it would be a bit difficult as well, since that does require more like manpower or labor, so to speak.
Yeah. So do you expect anything to change in the near future for NIS? And is NIS doing any kind of out there innovative things to try to adapt to this new normal?
Well, we are remaining optimistic that someday, COVID will not pose as great of a threat and that we'll be able to return to the office in due time. But this probably won't be happening until next year. In the meantime, we're just continuing to work hard from home and doing our best to bring, awesome news and games to our audiences.
Definitely. So we've talked about a lot of cool things here, but the general overarching question that we came here to answer was, how has COVID changed the game development industry? So all in all, Erin, what's the biggest changes you've seen? And we can recap on things we've already said. And one of the ones that maybe you can touch on is sales, because that's one of the hugest ones. We've heard that for some companies, sales have gone up since a lot of people are staying home more and they don't have anything to do other than play games, especially for digital sales, since people can't really buy these in person now. Have you seen an increase in sales for physical and digital copies, or have things been about the same?
First answer, the earlier question, I'm afraid my answer is not that exciting, but I think the most obvious change to me was having to work from home.
Yeah.
But going to the sales, yes, there has been a rise in digital sales, like you've touched upon earlier. More people are at home and are able to kind of indulge in video games and take part in consuming them. So we've seen a good increase, especially on PC. So
cool.
Yeah, that was really nice to see.
Definitely. And before we go here, Erin, HackerNoon does have a listener base of developers. Some of them are game developers and indie developers. For the companies that are listening that might not have adapted to COVID as well as you have, do you have any advice for them? Things that NIS has done that you realize, oh, this really helps our workflow now that we're all work from home?
Personal tips of mine,
it
would be to just carve out a workspace for yourself in which you can focus and just get down to the tasks at hand. Of course, to the best of your ability, given your surroundings and whatnot. But when it comes to kind of company-wide things, we do have a weekly, like a social hour or a social video call. So anyone is able to just hop in and out as they can, and you don't have to talk about work, just anything that's on your mind, or it's kind of like casual conversation.
Yeah.
So that's been nice to keep up with each other, and keep that camaraderie going. Am I saying that right?
Camaraderie.
But that morale. Yeah.
Yeah.
That word.
Cool. Yeah, my company does the same thing, but I got a group of the geeky people together so we could all game together one day a week.
Oh, cool.
Cool. Well, thanks very much for being here, Erin. Before we go, where can our viewers and listeners find you online? What's the social media handles for NIS?
Yeah, so across, we have Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. You can find us just at NIS America. And our website is nisamerica.com. So, please give us a visit.
For sure. So we'll have all the links to NIS America's social and website in the show notes below. Be sure to check it out there. Thank you very much for being here, Erin. This was really fun.
All right, thank you so much. And thank you everyone as well for listening.